I'm going to draw a line on this map. It's an important line, one that helps explain what is going on in the Middle East. It's a line of stability. On one side you have stable countries, and on the other side you have the less stable countries. It's a line of wealth. On one side you have the rich countries, and on the other side you have the less rich countries. It's a line of flags. On one side you have the red, white, and black Arab flags, and on the other side you don't. To understand this divide in action, we have to go back to the year 1952, the year a group called the Free Officers overthrew the King of Egypt and established a republican form of government. Egypt is a very highly populated nation, and the theory, supported by findings of political scientists, is that people who live in cities, highly populated areas, tend to lean left on the political spectrum, possibly because they are exposed to more ideas and more people. These are the Egyptian revolutionaries. They were certainly leftists and established a socialist form of government which resonated heavily in the other urban centers of the Arab world, many of which, including Syria, had a shared history with Egypt. These are maps of the various Middle Eastern, Arab, and Islamic empires over time. As you can see, many countries are often part of the same empire. One reason is that the countries in this area have rivers, can sustain food and agriculture, and thus have higher populations and are more attractive for empires to occupy. Continuing this trend, Syria joined Egypt in 1958.
Egypt and Syria constitute the United Arab Republic.
That same year in Iraq, a group also called the Free Officers launched a coup against the King of Iraq as well, and had a similar ideology to the Egyptians. Yemen also tried to join Egypt and Syria in unification. Highly populated capitals and countries were full of students, officers, labor movements, and urban political networks, and became incubators of ideological change. Mass politics was possible because masses existed. Cities were large. Populations were concentrated. Mobilization was realistic. Perhaps groupthink can also help explain this dynamic.
Any formality planned for this state visit was pushed aside by the people's enthusiasm.
That was certainly not the case in the Gulf. At this point, much of the Arabian Peninsula was sparsely populated, with Saudi Arabia in 1965 having a population of about 3 million people, and the other Gulf states remaining British protectorates of some sort. Here we can go back to the dividing line, because the Arabian Peninsula, especially the Gulf region, has a very difficult climate, and it was historically very difficult to settle the region. That was especially the case for Saudi Arabia, whose royal family originates in Najd, a central desert region characterized by desert, limited water, and high summer temperatures. That meant the Gulf nations in particular were less exposed to outside ideas, especially European ideas, and this contributed to them maintaining their own traditions and culture. The Gulf, as we know though, did have one very important thing, however: oil. The Arabian Peninsula wanted to take advantage of its oil wealth, but it had difficulty doing so for one reason: population. They just didn't have enough people, but they needed people with experience not just in oil, but also in education, engineering, and medicine. Lots of migration occurred from the higher populated Arab countries to the lower populated ones, largely influenced by money. The revolutionary waves in these countries died down, and their citizens sought income. That's not to say that these countries didn't have any oil at all. Some, especially Iraq, have a lot of oil, but the Gulf was another opportunity for them. This migration affected trends in the more populated Arab nations, because Egyptians, Syrians, Yemenis, and other nationalities went to the Gulf for work. They sent back money to their home countries, not just elevating their status, changing the economic demographics of these countries as well. The thing is not just that, however. In Lebanon, war erupted between the Christians, Muslims, and other minorities living in the country. Following the US invasion of Iraq, tensions erupted between the Sunnis and the Shias who inhabited the nation. In Yemen, conflict between the Sunnis and the Shias contributed to the war. And in Syria, following the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad, tensions have simmered between the nation's Arab Sunnis and its Kurds, Druze, and Alawites. The higher populated nations don't just have more people, they have a wider range of people. The presence of these different ethnic and sectarian groups is not a bad thing, but the presence of them without stable government systems contributes to war and conflict. Such a dynamic does not exist in the Gulf states, which were historically inhospitable desert, and prior to the 1900s, did not attract many migrants or settlers. These countries, as a result, are largely Arab, largely Sunni, with ethnic and sectarian tensions being less of an issue than in the highly populated nations. Arab states have unique dynamics between themselves, but also important is the Arab world's dynamics with Turkey, or specifically Syria's dynamics with Turkey. The two nearly went to war, twice. To learn more about that, click on this video right now. Thank you for watching.